All right. We're there, Patrick. We got it. We nailed it. You didn't say
At
a
8 o'clock.
word.
I got on my phone for a minute. Just keep me
Okay, you know what? Maybe we should just keep the phone on there right by you. And so when it's time to go, then we could go ahead and have you look at the phone and then bam. I just
Yeah.
pop on there.
I was actually reading your text. It says, sent the invite. I'm just not getting it.
On that note,
Let's roll. Where's my mouse?
Welcome. It is time to breathe again on the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube and on Facebook. So as you can see, I'm here. I have Patrick with me. And Patrick, we have a lot to get to, so let's get going. Today, we are going to start with college football because the rankings came through, and you know how it goes with the rankings. There's no change with the top six. I'm guessing Cincinnati dropped, I don't know, from number 7, but your top 6 is still the same. But here is our little caveat. The Ohio State game with Michigan was canceled, which means Ohio State does not meet the criteria set by the Big Ten Conference to play a minimum of 6 games to qualify for the Big Ten championship game. So they're stuck at 5, but yet they're still number 4 in these rankings. So my question
Bye.
is
Bye.
number 1. I agree with you, but
Bye.
But okay, so we obviously think Ohio State needs to go. What do you think the committee does, though?
Well, my personal opinion, the rules has always stated you had to have 6 games to get into a bowl game, right?
To the win 6 games.
You got to win 6 games to get into a bowl game, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there is certain teams out there that will win 5 and still get into a bowl game, but
yep, we saw that a couple years,
a couple of times. Mm-hmm. But truth of the matter is, you got to win 6 games, and guess what? Ohio State, you only got 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bye.
But that's the thing. Look, Patrick, we agree on that. What do you think the committee is going to do, though? Because we know
the committee's hands are tied. You have to have 6 wins to get into a bowl game, and if you're getting into a bowl game of this status, you have to look at it and say, I'm sorry, you didn't win 6 games.
Now, Patrick, I'm the one, and this is actually.
But you're asking, what is the committee going to do?
No, because I'm playing devil's advocate here. So you know me. I know normally you do that.
Yes.
But dude, look, you and I are on agreement. Ohio State, number 1, they shouldn't have been anywhere in the running anyway.
No.
For this year, period. In the story. But the committee still has them at number 4, which means that the playoffs started today, they're in. So do you think, no, I'll ask it another way, Patrick. Do you think the committee has the intestinal fortitude to move these dudes out of the top?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so there you go. Because it's about the money at the end.
I don't think they have the cojones to move them out. Because they are, it's about, look, you've said this many times about the NFL. They keep changing the rules to what? Public outcry.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Public outcry is going to say, and it's mostly the people in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten's got to go, we got to have somebody in there. Right? 1. 2, if you look at the top 4, what is it? SEC, ACC, ACC, Big Ten. If you take the Big Ten out, then you have your 4th one would be Texas A&M. That's an ACC, SEC state right there. They're not going to want 2 conferences out of the Big 5 or the Power 5 into that conference. They're going to be like, well, we have to put somebody else from another conference in. I don't think they should, because I mean Texas A&M sitting there at 7-1, and to me that's a more impressive schedule. Not that not that Texas A&M played better competition, but it still boils down to they are 7-1. That's a better record than 5-0. And I mean, but I think they have the guts to do it? No, they're a bunch of little sissy pansies that's sitting up there on the board that want to meet public outcry and make sure that a Big Ten team gets into the dance.
And money too.
And money.
Ohio State is
how did I forget about money? Oh my God. Yes, money. Because the Big Ten is probably going to dish out a crap ton of money just to get one of them in.
Yeah, Ohio State is a huge player when it comes to that money thing. I know in our present times, the amount of fanfare that can show up at these stadiums is going to be limited. But we know.
And I got one more thing before No, you finish. Because you're going to ask me another question right here in just a minute. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say Ohio State traditionally is one of the better traveling schools in the nation when it comes to their fanfare, them traveling to other places. And they just a big revenue-making university, one of the biggest universities in the nation in terms of the population of students they have. So with that, having said that, I would not be surprised if the Big Ten Conference tries to amend some rules to do everything they can to try to get Ohio State in here. Meaning, if there is a Big Ten opponent that is not playing this week, I would not be surprised they say, "Oh, hey man, Ohio State, they seem to have an off period now since Michigan can't play. You want to slide into that spot?" Anything just to give Ohio State every opportunity they can do to make that Big Ten championship game and ultimately play it in there, and then try to play that card to have them potentially get into the playoff. I just but here this is the problem I do have though. There were other teams in the Big Ten, obviously, that got games canceled, and granted, we're talking about Nebraska for the most part here. But here's the thing: Nebraska's in the Big Ten conference too. If another team can't play because of COVID, why can't Nebraska reschedule? They didn't let Nebraska reschedule because the Big Ten's reasoning was, well, we had our hard time schedule. If the game's canceled, then we're just going to roll with that. So if fair is fair, then Ohio State should not be able to reschedule. Ohio State should not be able to have this opportunity. Look, they had some cases. 2 of their games were canceled earlier. One was because they had an outbreak. The other was because I think Maryland had an outbreak. This one is on Michigan because Michigan has an outbreak going on. But, hey, you got to call square here. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying the Big Ten Conference, the way they've been operating in these last few months, they're liable to pull anything. That's why they make me sick, and I can't stand them.
If the rules state, if they had set the rules in, and I didn't hear about that, I figure you would not. You would hear it more than I would, I guess. But the fact of the matter is look, if they said games are canceled, that's how we're going to roll. I agree 100%, because if you're not going to let Nebraska reschedule their game, then Ohio State shouldn't reschedule theirs. Now, I agree with you 100%, 200%, 1,000,000%. Big Ten is going to do whatever they can to get Ohio State this 6th win. Man, you know what? Give it to them, and I hope somebody pounds them in the face, gives them that one loss that they actually deserve, and put their butts down in 12th place.
Well, apparently, Cincinnati wants a crack at them. I don't know how that's going to work with everything with the conference and stuff, but Cincinnati.
Carolina.
Well, they're playing Miami this week.
I don't care. Cancel with Miami, put them on the house and let them beat Ohio State.
Oh boy. But there. That's the thing though, Patrick. Because and that, I know I feel. I know it might come out like I'm just railing on the Big Ten here, but this
Because
is
you are.
what. Okay, thanks. I am. Yeah. And so and so if
And
the
I'm going
thing
to allow it.
is,
Go ahead.
appreciate it. But the thing is, they made this schedule the way they did because of how they canceled fall sports. So now they come back 8 games, solid 8 games. If there's some cancels, we can't make them up. There's no wiggle room for them to even make a game up if it got missed, which is, of course, what the SEC, ACC, and the Big 12 had the option to do since they started the schedule on time. So now, look, I'm cool with your North Carolina idea, but man, if I'm North Carolina, I'm not breaking my back for these MFers who decided
And that's Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina was the team, not North Carolina. But
oh,
I agree. I wouldn't break my back for it either. I mean, come on. I'd go ahead and face I'd face Miami and just put them, make me 11-0, and I'll be good for the season. Especially when this team wasn't even. They were talking about this team at the beginning of the season winning 2 or 3 games. That was it. 10-0. Good for them. Good for them to take the critics and prove them wrong. You know what I mean?
I'm all about some Coastal Carolina action. Yep.
Bro, they played some good. Then they took on BYU 2 days, 2 days for preparation, and then beat them. Bro, I like to see them in the 4. I like to see them in the 4 because I mean, if you look at it in the past, I want the 4 best teams in there. Do I think they are the top best teams? No, but the fact is that they're 10-0. They played their games, and I would respect a Coastal Carolina team over an Ohio State. Do I think that they are a better team than Texas A&M? I don't know, honestly. I mean, they came in on 2 days preparation and beat BYU. Like, I don't even know what the score here. Let's look at the score. I want to see what
22-17.
22-17, bro. And that was a 13th ranked BYU. This is just a BYU that was, oh, we're going to pick this up. No, this was a 13th ranked BYU, and they came in. Well, BYU came to them, and they beat them. Bro, I mean, to me, you have to consider that over Ohio State. Now, granted, Coastal Carolina is what, 14th, 15th, 13th now, whatever they are now. But, I mean, Ohio State at 5 wins, to me, that does not justify.
Bear.
Who we beating up, Bear? Ohio State. That's a given every day. Come on now.
I assume Bear is talking about Ohio State here. Or no. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about, since we were talking about Coastal Carolina. I had talked to him earlier today about the BYU game that they did play with Coastal Carolina, and then there was BYU QB. Yeah, so the BYU QB was just getting roughed up. He threw a pick, and then the Coastal Carolina dudes came and was just body slamming them and stuff. Hey, we're blocking them. It cost the team fight. So that's when I had to think about it for a second. But yeah, that's what Bear is talking about.
Oh well, I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm straight up, man. I like this Coastal Carolina team, man. I like to see them. I like to see them play Texas A&M, and if they beat Texas A&M, bro, give them a shot. Put them in there. Let them. I mean, out of a year that's all crazy anyway, give Coastal Carolina the shot, man.
You know what? And before we move on, Patrick, you said why this is one of these crazy years. You know what? Everybody else seems to be making adjustments on the fly for conferences and leagues and stuff. Well, how about we turn the 14 playoff to 8? How about that? How about we go ahead and have your
16.
Yeah, 16.
Put it in every 16 and don't do any other bowl games. That's it. And then let Ohio State in there, let them in there then. Who cares at that point? Because they're going to catch an L like week 2 anyway.
Well, all right, Patrick. Well, look, we'll move on to a couple of NFL things. Of course, we'll keep this college because college we're going to be talking about that as time goes on anyway. But how about the Philadelphia Eagles? No, actually, no. We'll go. Let's talk about the slight revenge of the NFC East, the much maligned, much talked about garbageness of the NFC East, because two of their teams had some huge victories this week. We had the New York Giants. They went to Seattle and knocked off the Seahawks 17-12. Yep. And the Generics fly the W, Patrick. I'm telling you, fly the W. They knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Man. They handled them.
Yes. They knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers to give the Steelers their first loss of the season. And this was after they were down 14-0. Mm-hmm. So, hey, look. Fly the W. But finally, I feel good for the NFC East. Well, everyone except for the Dallas Cowboys. I care less about them. And we'll talk about the Philadelphia Eagles in a minute. But look, man, what about these victories, man? What? Does NFC East showing up a little bit, huh?
Well, maybe they watched the show. Maybe that's what it is. They watched the show. They were like, you know what? Man, Patrick and Charles they dogging us out, man. We can't have this. We gotta say something. We gotta do something. And Dallas is like, yeah, we're gonna do something. We're gonna go in there and beat those Ravens. 17-10. Okay. But the Generics stepped in and beat Pittsburgh. Good for them. I mean, you know
Fly the W.
Fly the W. Yeah. I'll do it today. I ain't gonna do it forever, but I'll do it today. Fly the W. Get them, Washington. But you know what? Good for them. I mean, good for them it seemed like they brought in a good game plan, especially in the second half, not in the first half. But I mean, it looked like they did a really good job, and the Giants coming in getting Seattle too. Good for them. I mean, I like it when the team shakes things up, man. Makes it interesting to watch, and makes it interesting to makes our jobs a little bit more lively. Hey, good for the Giants. Congratulations on beating the East beating two big teams like that.
Here's another thing. Yeah, right. Here's another thing with that, Patrick. Going into this week, the NFC East was something stupid. I think 0-17 against teams with winning records this year.
Yeah.
And
2-19 now.
Yeah, right. 2-17.
It'll be 2
or 2-19. They're
2-19, but now it'll be 2-20 because Dallas is fixing to lose to the Ravens.
Yeah, Philly lost to Green Bay too. But yeah, man, with the Giants, so the Giants and the football team, the Generics. Well, I know the one thing that we had said about those two teams is they're up and coming. They have young talent, and they both have good defensive lines. So they could build around those foundations. But going into the year, we felt like the division was going to be between Philly and Dallas. Obviously, that has not taken shape. But these teams, with their defensive line, particularly the Redskins' defensive line, those dudes they have. Oh, did I say the Redskins? I did. Oh, garbage. Sorry. The Generics, man. Yeah, the Generics, the defensive line they have with Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, and Chase Young, the draft pick they got from Ohio State earlier. That is a very solid defensive line that could put pressure on the quarterback real quick. And if you want to know if you could build around the defensive line real quick, just ask a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, because that was the biggest thing that helped them get to the Super Bowl last year. I'm not saying the football team is going to get to the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying there's a good foundation there. And the Giants also have a good foundation, which is why I said they're up and coming. I just wasn't expecting them to actually win the division with a potential 6-10, 7-9 record.
Well, I mean, how many times do you get the opportunity to win a division with a less than 500 record?
Yeah.
But here we are in this this. Hey, look, this is COVID America. What can I say?
2020. That's what we're gonna do.
2020 COVID America.
We're just gonna chalk everything up to 2020. So, speaking of other teams, anything you want to add to the Giants and the generics winning before we move on to the Eagles and their benching of Carson Wentz?
Nope. I mean, good for them for winning, but that was it.
Well, let's get to them Eagles, and they're sitting there at 3-8-1, and they made a decision. The head coach Doug Peterson made a decision to go ahead and put Carson Wentz on the bench, and Jalen Hurts will be the starter on Sunday when the New Orleans Saints come to town. So, that's a rough defense to get thrown in there against. And so I look. So here,
it's like this. Jalen Hurts he's quite capable of doing the job.
How long did you think about that, Bear? I just I like it though.
Nice play on words. Nice play on words. I like it. Should be in a rep.
Look, I'm just playing with you, Bear. I know you're more creative than that. I know how you get.
Jalen Hurts is quite capable of handling it. I mean, look, I've watched this kid play for 4 years, and
you've seen him. He
can play. You've seen it in me. At least he's honest. Thanks for your honesty. No, Jalen Hurts is quite capable of handling it. I just don't think Philadelphia's offensive line is. I don't think their defensive line is capable of handling it. It's hard to be thrown into a defense like this in the NFL. But to be honest with you, Jalen Hurts can handle it. It's just, can his line handle it? He has been thrown into these defenses for years. It's not Jalen Hurts that I'm worried about. It's the other 10 people on the field. I just don't think they can. That's the problem. I mean, he look. Georgia's always had a high ranked defense going into Alabama, and he comes in and he whips the shit out of them. Excuse my language, but he does. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's Hurts that I'm really worried about as much as it's the other 10 people on the field. I don't think they can handle it, especially going against that Saints defense that is only allowing 18 points a game.
They're in your top 5 in a lot of these defensive categories, and I mean they can get out there to quarterback. They have good secondary play, and you talk about the offensive line for the Eagles struggling. The receivers struggle too. They cannot separate from tight coverage, and I know the Saints like to play a lot of tight man coverage, and they're able to do that because they get good pressure on the quarterback. They can take a few more chances because they've been healthy for the most part too. And with the Saints secondary being healthy, now you got that continuity that's there. It's tough to move the ball on their defense. But Philly, they're in a weird spot. Philly's in a spot right now because they're 3-8-1. Normally, when you are 3-8-1, it's probably time to see what you can do to get ready for next season. So you can go ahead.
Well, that's probably putting in Hurt. Yeah. I mean, let's see what we got and see if there's something else that we can get for Wentz when trading block comes up.
So exactly, but the caveat is they're in the NFC East. So is this a move to say, hey man, we want to see what we got for next year? Or is this a move to say, you know what, we have a chance to maybe pull this garbage division out? Let's put Jalen Hurts in and see who we got. And that's what I mean about that spot. They're just in this precarious spot where, again, normally if you're 3-8-1, you want to see what you have. And then you can make those decisions going forward. If Hurts is going to be the guy, then we can go ahead and roll with that. But also, is this a decision to say, hey, if he can get on a little roll here, win these last 4 games, get a 7-8-1 record, man, we might pull this bad boy out.
You might. And let's be honest. I mean, as much as I'm rooting for Wentz, man, Jalen Hurts gives them the best opportunity to win in this defense. I mean, truthfully. So I definitely see where you're coming from, especially when the best record in the East is 5-7. I mean, dude, I definitely get it. I mean, wait, what is he? Let's see. Let's look at it. 2.5 games behind. Bro, that's definitely doable with the next 4 games because you don't know what the Giants are going to give you. You don't know what Washington's going to give you. I mean, Washington came in and beat a 9-0 Pittsburgh Steeler, but they could step in next week and lose against the Jets if that's who they got. I don't know who they got. But they're a lot like Atlanta. Atlanta has all this talent in the world to win, but can't win crap. And the Giants and Washington's the same way. So, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, but I do feel Jalen Hurts gives them the best opportunity to win against the Saints. I think he's a better equipped quarterback for a defense that New Orleans is fixing to bring.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a supporter of Carson Wentz. I've always kind of liked how he played. I like his toughness because he gets hit a lot, and he was at an MVP level. Now all of a sudden he's sorry. I don't know what happened, but I
said, it's not Jalen Hurts that I have a problem with. It's people on the field.
But the thing is though, Patrick, he looks like a guy who has lost all confidence. And when you have lost your confidence, when it looks like you're gun shy, like I'm gonna use a baseball analogy here. You got the yips. You don't even look like you want to throw sometimes, man. He's not trusting what he's seeing on the field.
I heard that in a long time.
He got the yips. It just doesn't look like he has any confidence with where he wants to go with the ball. Doesn't look like he's seeing the field. And the worst thing, I'll use another analogy here. I'll use a golf analogy because this was happening with Tiger Woods for a lot of times. He would hit the ball and he had no idea where the ball was going. That's like the worst feeling in the world where you're hitting the ball and you're thinking that it's going where you want it to go, but instead it's getting sprayed off to the left or right somewhere. Carson Wentz is horribly inaccurate too. And yes, the offensive line is a big problem. But there are, right, and Bear just said it on the comments. But the thing is, when you're getting hit so much, you might actually have some pretty decent protection. But you're getting hit so much, you're just like, oh, I don't have much time. It starts playing with your head, and you're like, oh, I just got to get rid of it.
And he's mostly getting blasted from the weak side anyway. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he when the guy has been sacked more times in one game than most quarterbacks get sacked in an entire year, that's a problem. And it is. I mean, I think there was one game, dude, he took like 6 sacks, and should have took him more if he wouldn't have got out of the pocket and threw the ball away. But I mean, I think he got knocked down like 15 times in that game. And I can't remember who it was, but I mean,
I know Baltimore hit him a lot.
It might have been Baltimore. But I mean, 6 sacks, and that's because your pocket is just collapsing so fast. And, one of the things, like, my son's fixing to start playing football, and I tell him, I'm like, look, you have, and he wants to be a quarterback. I'm like, you have this pocket that's built for you. And, right now you're not playing tackle, you're playing flag because it's your first year. I was like, but understand that, you can only, they're only going to block for so long before you got to get rid of that ball. And so if you look at the NFL, you're looking at what, a 3-second max in your pocket, and you got to start getting rid of that ball. Carson Wentz is getting like maybe a second and a half to 2, and he doesn't even have a chance to step up in the pocket, and that's depending on if he has a 3 or 5 step drop. If he has a 3-step drop, I mean, they're getting to him within 2 seconds. If he has a 5-step drop, they're getting to him within 3 seconds. So he doesn't have the time that most quarterbacks have in the pocket, and he's already having to scramble. Hence the reason why when I look at what Carson Wentz is doing, and I'm a huge supporter of him too, I wish he would get his stuff together so he can actually play at that MVP level, because I still think he can.
Mm-hmm.
But Jalen Hurts is younger. He can get outside the pocket faster. He can hit those passes on the run. Now, like I said before this whole thing started, honestly, it's not Jalen Hurts that I have a problem with. It's the other 10 on the field. Is the line going to protect him? Is the running back going to pick up the extra defender, the blitzer that's coming in, whether it be a corner blitz, free safety blitz, or a linebacker blitzing in? Is he going to be able to pick that up? Is your tight end going to give you protection from the weak side, or is he going to give you protection from blitzers that's coming in as well? Those are those 2 things. Can your wide receivers block for you while you are scrambling? Do you have that as an option? And then will your wide receivers catch the ball? Will they run their routes the way they're supposed to run their routes and catch the ball? There's so many things that the other 10 players that's on the field has more problems with than the quarterback. Philly is, to me, is a complete mess, and honestly, it should probably be blown up and rebuilt.
And so, all right, so Bear, so he says Hurts is more than a pocket passer too. So I think Bear, I think Patrick was kind of saying that he is more than a pocket passer. As a matter of fact, he did say he gives the Eagles a better chance because he does have better mobility to be able to roll out, because he's going to need that against the Saints. Yes. So he's definitely going to need to be able to roll out a little bit if he's going to get away from that Saints defense. But I think right now with Hurts will probably be more sure from the pocket. I think he will trust a little bit more of what he sees in the pocket, because Carson Wentz is not. Carson Wentz right now, when he stands in the pocket, because of what you had said, Bear, about him getting blasted all the time, he's shell-shocked. So Hurts can come in here. You get a new, fresh set of eyes. You get a new, fresh, probably playbook, because there's going to be some plays I think Doug Peterson will put in there, or at least that's the job of the head coach, to put him in positions to where he is most comfortable. So if he
doesn't put, sorry, I got to say this real quick and I'll let you finish. If he doesn't put plays in there where Hurts can scramble, he is only hurting that team even more. If he's going to completely keep Hurts in a pocket passing situation, get Hurts out of there, because he's not even needed anymore. Because you have got to put something in place to keep those blitzers from blitzing consistently. And if you put something in there where Jalen shoots down the field for 15, 20 yards because you blitz from the weak side, and he shoots down the field for 15, 20 yards, you ain't blitzing from the weak side again. I mean, you might do it later, but you're not going to consistently send blitzers every single time. Not like you could with Carson Wentz right now. Sorry. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you're going to need just a well-balanced slate of plays. Put him in positions where he can use his legs to make some plays, and potentially in making those plays with his legs, you get him rolling out. Give him some bootlegs. Give him some things that he's comfortable doing, and then maybe you can get some big plays that way, whether it is with his arm or his legs. But if the Saints are able to contain that, then Hurts is going to have to be able to make a few plays from the pocket. That's where your offensive line is going to have to step up and protect. Because if they can't, it's going to be a lot of the same of what Carson Wentz was getting. And I think that gets lost a lot of times when it comes to this quarterback play. And for that matter, running back play or wide receiver play. Nothing happens without the offensive line. Nothing on defense really happens without the defensive line. This is why those two units are the foundations of your team. And it's no different from any other team that is out there playing football. The Eagles have had terrible offensive line play. Now, is there some things where Carson Wentz can take responsibility for? Absolutely, he can. But damn, if my man is getting hit 2 seconds after he takes a hike, what quarterback is going to be successful in that? So it'll be interesting. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to another topic, but it will be interesting to see how this all turns out. Like you said, Patrick, I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts too. No Bear is. We all are. And so if he gets this opportunity, I think we would like to see him succeed in this. But
absolutely.
But man, tough situation to go in there against the Saints defense that is playing really aggressive right now. Well, let's talk about the Steelers. Since we had talked about them earlier, getting that W flown on them. Team generic, baby. Anyway, but I don't think we'll end up spending a whole bunch of time on the Steelers except to say this. Of course, they're the last undefeated team, so this is their first loss. But a lot of people were trying to put them up there because of their record with the likes of Kansas City as being that team that could knock them off. Now, I don't know about you, Patrick, but I never thought of the Steelers that highly. I felt like they have a good defense. Ben Roethlisberger is playing pretty well for the season, and they have a good group of wide receivers. But I never really looked at them as a team that was going to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC or from the AFC. I still think it is the Chiefs to lose. Not saying the Chiefs are unbeatable, but the Chiefs seem to be able to find other ways to win, even when Patrick Mahomes might not have the best game. It happened this past week. Denver played them pretty well, but Kansas City was able to find a way to win that game. The Steelers, to me, man, there's just too many times where I'm like, hey, there's some games where they look like they could whoop everybody, and then they lay that clunker, and maybe and
by the generics.
Yes, and maybe that clunker was the game yesterday against the generics, but I don't know. I really don't see too much coming from the Steelers, even though they're still 11-1. I don't know. I'm not feeling like the Steelers are going to make a lot of noise. What about you?
Well, I mean, look, I didn't have them winning. I didn't even have them win the division.
Nah, me either.
We got them now. I mean, who did you? I think you had Baltimore, and I had Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati was going to be a lot better. They're a lot better on paper than they are on the field. I can tell you that. But I did have Pittsburgh doing quite well. I mean, I had them doing well, not 11-1 well at this point. You know, I had them probably around 10-6, maybe 11-5.
Yeah, I had them second place in the division.
I had them second place in the division too. But I just didn't think Lamar. I just didn't think the Ravens were going to be like that crazy strong. Which, you know, I always say the one thing I always saw about Lamar Jackson was this, and I know I'm getting off subject, but the one thing I saw about Lamar Jackson is this: if you find his weakness and you force him to scramble to his left, what's he going to do? Nothing. And that's exactly what teams do. They push him to the left, and that takes literally it takes the quarterback out of the play because he can't make that throw. Now, so I didn't see too much out of the Ravens, but I did see that Pittsburgh could possibly do something. So when I looked at,
I didn't understand.
God, hold on, my phone is thinking I'm talking to it. I saw Pittsburgh being somewhere around 11-5, making a little bit of noise in their division, but not really making a lot of noise in the playoffs. But they have the potential to do it. They do have the players to do it. Do I think that they could have? No, I did not see that. As a matter of fact, I had them going out in the first round. But they are a team that if they could get if they put things together the way that they have been putting them together, they find ways to win. And I'm not saying that they find multiple ways to win like Kansas City does, but they're grinding out their wins. They're making the plays that is necessary for them to win. They didn't make those plays during Washington. Personally, I don't know. I personally think it was they got very conceited and thought that they were on top of the world. They couldn't be beat because they haven't been beat yet. And Washington came in and proved them wrong. That's one theory. My personal theory. Do I think that they're going to finish off winning all their games? No. I think Washington exposed a lot of their weaknesses. And that was only a matter of time before you found that. And Washington found it. And so now I think other teams are going to really push those issues and really try to break them down and score on them a lot more than what they have in the past. But no, I didn't see them really doing much, and I honestly still don't see them doing much.
Yeah, so you brought up Lamar Jackson, and I mean, with the Steelers being in the same division, you get to study them more. You see these teams twice a year, and I think with Lamar Jackson playing the Steelers twice a year, you mentioned they find your weaknesses and stuff. Lamar Jackson's at that stage now. Lamar Jackson's at the stage where he had a hot start. He was MVP last year. Teams now get filled. Teams now start to develop game plans against you, and they're taking away what you do well. Now, the next step for Lamar Jackson is to continue to evolve, get in the pocket a little bit more, be able to throw from the pocket. Don't lose sight of the fact that you have a lot of speed, so you can still run for a little bit, but teams are waiting for that now. So you have to be multiple, and you have to be able to find different ways. And, of course, one of those teams are the Steelers. Since they are in the same division, you get to see them twice a year. I think the Steelers, they had their hot start, and then things start to develop, start to find out a few other things, and the Washington football team came up there and exposed a lot of those things. So it's up to Pittsburgh to continue to find out what exactly it is where they've been exposed and work on those areas. Look, Pittsburgh, we know they have a pretty strong defense, but it's just a matter of can they get enough from their offense and particularly their running game to get something going. Ben Roethlisberger threw the ball, I think, 53 times yesterday. That is too much to be throwing the football. You have to have balance. In this league, you have to have balance. Unless you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you probably need a little bit more balance. But even Kansas City runs the ball. I mean, we got to remember, and people forget this, but Damian Williams, the running back for the Chiefs last year, to me, or in my estimation, he probably should have been the MVP of that Super Bowl. Of course, they gave it to Mahomes, but it probably should have been Damian Williams. I mean, he had a better game. Mahomes really didn't do too much in the game to the final 9 minutes. So I mean, look, you have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to be multiple. And if the Steelers can't find that running game, then yeah, they might have a pretty early exit. So you go from 11-0 to early exit, like you said,
11-5 out in the first round.
Yeah, or one and done. And so, speaking of that, Patrick, so we'll get on the next, or I guess the final topic here. One of those teams that the Steelers will be playing is Sunday. They actually have to go to Buffalo, and Buffalo is looking pretty good themselves right now. 9-3. They beat they beat us. The San Francisco 49ers last night looked pretty good doing it too, I must say. And Josh Allen looks like he is definitely ready to take that next step. This is out of my wildest dreams. I was not expecting Josh Allen to be this good, but he is playing at a very high level. And we knew he had a strong arm, but he's accurate now with this arm. So I guess with the Bills, what are your expectations of them? Are can they make some noise in the AFC? Because I mean, I do think the AFC is wide open. Well, with the exception of Kansas City, I still think Kansas City is a strong team. But
Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Look, Buffalo does look good, man. And I mean, let me pull up their schedule real quick. So they lost to the Titans, they lost to the Chiefs, and they lost to the Cardinals. And the Cardinals was that Hail Mary shot, So they could easily, they could have beat the Titans, but the Titans handled them pretty well. So honestly, they should be probably 10-2 right now. With respect to Kyler Murray making that crazy throw downfield and a catch like that. So
DeAndre Hopkins beasting 3 people.
Yeah, you got to recap to that. Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah.
But they could have easily been 10-2, and you have to take that into consideration as well. They could have easily be 10-2. They were winning that whole game up until that Hail Mary. So you got that. No, I expect them to make quite a bit of noise. They have pretty much owned every game that they have played so far. With the exception of the 2 losses that they had from Kansas City and the Titans. And looking at the Kansas City score, that was 26-17. And honestly, if I recall, that wasn't even that close of a score until later in that game. So no, Buffalo should make some noise. Without the Patriots, and who knows where they're going to be at in the whole mix of things. I doubt they're going to even make the playoffs at this point because they're 6-6. But I expect them to make some noise. I expect them to play very well in the playoffs. Regardless who they get in the first round. I could see them going to play. Damn phone. It just keeps talking to me.
Ignore it, Patrick. Doing a webcast.
Because it's fixing to start going, oh, I know you're needing this and I know you're needing that, but I don't need anything.
Put it on you.
But I fully see them being a possibility of making it to the AFC Championship and playing against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it's possible. Buffalo, to me, I guess they are in that tier. Right there below Kansas City. But if I had to sit there and look, I would give them a very good shot to beat Pittsburgh or Baltimore or Tennessee again. I know Tennessee wore them out the first time, but I think Buffalo's a little bit better now than they were then.
We learned a lot.
Yeah, and then the other teams like Cleveland. Cleveland's 9-3. That's shocking in and of itself. And speaking of that, all right, so we both agree Buffalo can make some noise. Could you imagine these 2 games with fans in them? You have the Steelers and Bills on Sunday. Can you imagine how alive that place in Buffalo would have been with fans? And on Monday night, you have Baltimore at Cleveland. Could you imagine how live the dog pound would have been on a Monday night game in December? When's the last time the Browns have played a meaningful game in the month of December? So
the last time the Browns played a meaningful game in the past 10 years. Minus game 1 of the season where everybody is 0-0.
This is where you miss the fans, man, right there, because those environments would be live for these games coming up. But no, I'm with you though, Patrick. I think Buffalo is looking very dangerous. They have a very good defense that can get out there to quarterback, good secondary, And if Josh Allen is going to play like this, look out. Look out.
Especially if Josh Allen is going to play like this. If his nerves do not get him, they can make a lot of noise. And even with that being said, this is the type of team. I'm not saying it's going to happen by no means, but this is the type of game that you want to see is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills in an AFC championship. And you're going to watch, if that happens, that would be a fantastic game to watch because you got two quarterbacks that are just top of their game right now. And if Josh Allen can continue that throughout the rest of the season and continue that through the playoffs, man, that would be a fun game to watch. And that would be where you would miss the fans. That would be another you would miss the fans. But no, I think Buffalo definitely has the play if Allen can keep doing this. It's something I would look forward to.
All right. Well, on that note, that will conclude this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube and Facebook. You guys know what to do. Go to the channel. Holla at us at the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel. And smash the subscribe button. The subscribe button. And
not hard. I mean, it literally is red. And that's all you got to do. Turn them notifications on. Listen to us, man. You'll have fun.
And keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page as well. We are always looking for feedback. We are always looking for how you guys feel. Don't be afraid to leave some comments. Gotta give a shout out to my boy Bear. He's on here, and you see us. If you're out here, you're watching, but you don't know if you quite want to leave the feedback. We're nice people. You can talk to us. We're not gonna bite your head off unless you say something crazy, and then we might. So just so
now I got this grizzly beard growing, so.
So holla at us and come interact with us. It's a lot of fun, man, and we want y'all to join in on the fun. So Patrick, are you going to do a shorty this week?
I said yes last. I'm going to do one this week. I am giving it to you. I am talking about Sarah Fuller. I'm going to do it. You're getting it. It's coming.
All right. All right.
I did that last week. My week got crazy, and I just didn't do it. That's on me. It ain't going to happen again. You're getting a shorty this week.
All right.
By me.
And if you haven't checked out the shorty I did on the New York Jets, don't hesitate to check that out either.
I saw it come across my feed. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm probably gonna watch it like tonight or tomorrow morning.
All right, cool. Well, outside of that, hey, everybody, take care. Thanks for watching. Bear, again, thanks for interacting with us. And
get your homies, Bear. Get your homies. Get them on the show. Come on.
And we will talk to y'all later. So everybody take care. Have a good rest of the week.